out there. This is Larry Hankin. You listen to the Canned Air podcast. Listen some more. I'm even on it. That's how great it is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canned Air, your tribute to comics and pop culture. I am Jeremy Colley.
I'm Jack Doherty.
And I'm Randy Hardenbrook.
And joining us this week, man, this is truly a freaking honor because anybody who owns a TV or has been to a movie has seen this gentleman's face. You've probably seen him in Escape from Alcatraz, Armed and Dangerous, Home Alone, Billy Madison, Breaking Bad, Seinfeld, Friends, and the list just keeps going on, but I don't have that kind of time.
Or that breath.
Or that much breath. We welcome writer, actor, comedian, and painter Larry Hankin to the show. Larry, thank you so much for being here.
Well, no, thank you. There's no way I can follow that, though. So
I didn't think he was there at first.
Did I build you up too much?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Just hunky-dory. No.
Okay.
No complaints from me.
We've got a good episode for you today. In our Retro Roundtable, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite and I guess maybe in my case, maybe some of the least favorite experiences
cool, because I got one of them.
Cool, in movie theaters. And then we're going to be turning our full attention over to Larry and talking more about his amazing career. But before we do all that, don't forget to find us on Twitter at CannedAirPod and on Instagram at Canned_Air. If you like what you're doing, if you like what we're doing, you want to show some support, head over to patreon.com/CannedAirPod. $5 a month gets you in on the Canned Air Patreon pod. Randy, what am I forgetting?
So every morning, check us out 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Redline Radio. And then Jack and I kind of do a little thing every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Where we just play a live game show and play around with us and potentially win some prizes.
There you go. Play around with Jack and Randy and win prizes. How about that? I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Awesome.
Well, by the time people hear this, it'll already have happened. So I guess that was kind of...
You can go back and watch it, I guess.
There you go. There you go. All right, let's kick it off with this week's Retro Roundtable.
And here we go. I'll be back.
All right, gentlemen, our favorite movie theater experiences. Who's going to kick us off?
Go, Randy.
Okay. So it's not so much a specific movie, but in my town, I live in Delaware, Ohio. It's an old college town built in like the 1800s, and they have an
haunted as fuck, too.
Yes. But they have an old theater there called the Strand that was an old vaudeville theater. And
probably haunted as well.
Definitely haunted. But over the years, rather than just completely modernize it, they've modernized it, but they've kept a lot of the old woodwork and a lot of the old stage and balcony and kind of set. So you walk in there and it's very authentic. I mean, it's like a trip through history. Seats are as uncomfortable as hell, and it's hot as hell in there in the summer, but it's real fun to go in there and just kind of experience history like that.
Piece of history in Delaware, Ohio.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then the seats are squeaking all through the movie.
Old theaters are cool, except for the seats. The Ohio theater is the exact same way. It's a gorgeous theater when you go in, and that's not a movie theater now. I mean, it's actual like stage for live performances and stuff. But the seats are so fucking horrible that I've always found myself anytime I've been there standing in the back watching the show because I cannot sit in those seats. They are horrible. I mean, especially I've got a bony frame. So my ass, it's just straight ass on board, There's no cushion there for me to sit on. So anyway, Larry, let's cut over to you. Favorite or least favorite movie theater experience, sir?
How about the weirdest?
Oh, that's even better. I'll take it.
I guess at one point in my youth, I got an Academy. Well, I wanted to make a film. I just wanted to make a film. That was all I wanted to do, a film short. And the guy who I got to do the cinematography free or at a very low price, a really good guy in his art form. But he only would do it if we could enter it into some contest. He wanted to get something out of it. So I agreed to it. Yeah, well, we'll enter it. Yeah, okay, fine. And he did. He did a really good job, and he helped me. It kind of helped me direct. But it won an Academy Award nomination, and that was really amazing. But to get into the Academy Award, even get near it, the film, any film that you want to enter, whether it's a feature or a film short, has to play 3 performances, 3 days in a movie theater with a paying audience in L.A. County. That's one of the rules.
Okay.
And of course, the entire world tries for a year before that, whatever year it is, to book a theater for 3 days. Even from India, from Japan, So by the time we got to it and got our shit together, there was no theaters for us. And he really was. I said, it's okay. I'll do it another time. I mean, I didn't know the importance of the Oscars or any of that. I was a new kid. But he was very insistent, and he finally got a theater. And I go, wow, man, how did you do that? What did you have to pay or whatever? He says, no, it's a pornographic movie theater. And he said, well, I go, well, he said, no, it counts. It's a paying audience. It counts, man. I called the Academy. It counts. So we can at least enter, man. And I said, oh, my God, I got a new girlfriend. I told her I was bragging about how we may get in the Academy. No, I can't. And then when I told her, she thought it was some sort of trick or something. So it's very kind of, happy but kind of embarrassing. Anyway, when I went in, I thought, okay, we're going to go see it. So the first night, it was going to, be a film short before the porno movie. But, okay, so we went in, and it was like 7 o'clock or something. We went in there, and we sat down, and there was only, strangely, 10 men in the audience, and they were all separated very, very far apart, almost like a COVID thing. Almost like they were afraid of COVID or something, and they were all wearing, like, I mean, it was a cliche, man. It really was. But the fun was to come because I didn't know that Harry, the cinematographer, only gave this Pussycat Theater, I think that was the name of it, he only gave him a work print. So it wasn't color corrected, and it had the grease pencil marks on it. Cut here, zaga, 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 zaga,
Right.
XX, all the way through it. But it counted if we could put it up there for 3 nights, and they agreed, So these porno guys, the guys in there who were waiting for a pornographic movie, there was no announcement like, ladies and gentlemen, first we're going to show a comedy, a first-time comedy film short, and then we'll get to none of that. So they're waiting, and here's the opening shot of my movie was just a waitress. And I thought, okay, great, we're going to get her. All right, who's gonna get her? And then comes this homeless guy, me, and go, oh, a homeless guy and a waitress, great, man. And then another businessman come in. Okay, a menage a trois. It's getting better and better. And you see they're getting restless and everything. But, of course, it's just a holdup, and nothing really horny happens. And the expression, and this is the weird part, the expression and the letdown from behind, we were sitting in the back of these 10 disparate guys just had their shoulders sort of, what the fuck just happened, man? And then the movie ended.
I can't get off to this.
You could see them getting restless, and what the heck? We paid our money, and nobody took their clothes off. What was that experience? Will stick in my mind forever. But it got an Academy nomination, grease pencils and all. You guys.
Thank you, Pussycat Theater.
Yeah, thank you, Pussycat Theater. But that's the weirdest that I can come up with at the moment.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Jack, we are over to you, sir.
I can't even compete with that.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to say after that. Like, what have I got to compete with that?
So
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, no, please don't be. I'm sorry.
the guest has to outdo the cast. So
Yeah.
3D movies have never been as good as when I went and saw Avatar in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
I had that movie on my list.
Yeah.
And I will say visually it was fantastic. But I couldn't get into the movie itself, really.
I've never seen it. I've tried watching it on TV, and I can't because it doesn't look anything the same.
The visual display that makes it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything about
I
that.
would imagine.
Especially when they're flying in the ships and you could see the depth. It was like you were sitting in there looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
there was a scene of the movie where there's a bunch of them around. I can't. I haven't seen it since the theater. I think there's some like big tree of life kind of thing. And there's all these kind of like things floating around, lights floating around, and just
that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and in that 3D world, it was so amazing because there are so many movies that I can't even think of a good example, but I know there are some that, they advertise this is going to be in 3D, and then when you drop the money to see it in 3D, you're like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Mm-hmm. There might be something that there's a little bit of depth to, but nothing.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
That emotional thing.
Yeah.
I can't go near the edge of a cliff. It's one of those things. It just weirds me out. And some movies, through that 3D thing, I can get that emotional feeling of whoa.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't work, but when it does, it really catches you off guard. You go, whoa.
Yeah.
So
IMAX.
when they were
especially.
riding those flying things,
Oh, yeah. No,
it's like when you're talking about in the tree and they had the little wispy things flying around. I clearly remember.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get
blowing them out of your
face.
face.
Like it was in my face. Get out of here.
Like, I'm trying to watch a movie. Go away.
Yeah, I was like you guys. I thought it was like kind of a novelty because the last 3D movie I'd ever seen was probably when I was little at at Disney, the Captain EO, the Michael Jackson movie. So I just never paid attention and went and seen this with Julie because I think the literally was the only open theater was for the 3D, and now it's like I can't see any other 3D movies if it doesn't hold up to that level of Avatar.
Yeah. And again, I wish I could think of a good example of what doesn't live up. But again, Guardians of the Galaxy, space, the ship, being able to like see the perspective of inside the ship out the windshield, like all
That's
that.
That's about all you get in those movies.
Really cool, though.
That or like the jets of, if there's any kind of fire effect, it usually gives a little bit more of a different effect with the glasses on versus watch it. But usually that's about it. Yeah, nothing stands up to Avatar.
But isn't that kind of the way that they're made? I mean, the reason that they're made. I heard some really cool, author the other day saying that they always ask the guys with the money, the green light guys, always ask, well, what is the engine of the film, and maybe effects, that emotional effect of 3D or whatever, is in fact the engine. In other words, you just go for that. People don't care what the story is. I mean, I imagine, because sometimes I don't know what the hook is.
Right.
That's what brought me to Avatar.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what took me to Avatar.
I mean, the effects were amazing in that picture. But I mean, I also kind of dug the story. I was paying attention. I know, because I generally, if something fades, I'm going, now who is that guy? Why is he? Why is he important? I just lose complete. And then I have to pick up when something interesting happens. Yeah, but why am I watching this? What's the connection? And I think maybe some movies are made that way. You just have somebody once told me when I made my film short, he said, got any rules for me? Well, what should I pay attention to? He said, you have to have 7 bumps, 7 laughs, 7 scary things, 7 weirdnesses, 7. If you got 7, and he was talking about, I think it was 10 to 15 minutes. If you got 7 but I think he was even talking about screenplays. So I mean, it's weird what people in the business judge movies by, as opposed to what fans are watching.
Like it's a straight calculation for them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unnerving because I'm trying to write a screenplay and I'm trying to pay attention to, all the do's and don'ts, and you got to do this and don't pay attention to that and whatever. And I'm going, that's crazy, man. It's just, what about a good story, Just tell a story.
Then worry about the 3D.
I think I actually figured out why, because I've been paying attention, I guess. It's, in the old days, you could get to people who gave you the green light, or you can get very near to them. We always used to say there's just, between you and the green light is one fucking asshole. But that was all, just one, and you could identify him, and you knew who he was, and you could get around him maybe through a friend, but you had a generalization of where you're going. But now there's so many people writing screenplays that they need filter systems that's like 10 or 15 deep. And that's the only problem. I mean, it has nothing to do with the rules. I mean, they're making up rules just as a filter. But, you know, if you wrote a great story, I don't know.
You would think this day and age, too, with that many filters, that many levels of quality control, how many times we said it on this show, that you just have top-notch stuff out there. But no, I mean, there's times you see shit that you're like, how did this make it through 15 levels of assholes? Like, how?
Yeah, exactly. I just bought this book. It said, you know, how to get past the assholes. I think that's a good title for a book, but I just made that up. It's not. But it was a book of you know, how to get through. I think it was a festival. How to get awards at a festival. How to get through the readers. How to get through the filters. It was one of those books, and it said that, you know, there's just so many darned rules, but the rules were so. I guess I don't know what you're going to find out. They were saying spelling counts. Like, in other words, it wasn't like rules for story. It was rules for like kindergarten people. In other words, they're getting stuff where they're going, okay, let's just stop this because nobody's paying attention to anything. Never mind a good story. People are just typing whatever comes out of their head and not filtering it, you know, before it leaves the room. You know, they're just sending this. No, I know what they're talking about, because every time something gets popular, you know, it starts to fade into the average, you know, because just so much people get jumping on that train. So I can understand why, but that's what you're fighting, and that's the reality. And just figuring out new ways to get through. I guess it's an old challenge. How do you get to the guys, you know? Even if you got a great story. One guy told me, he said, here's the way, a twist. You gotta have a twist.
Was it M. Night Shyamalan by chance?
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's talking about. I'm sure he loved that movie. Sure. I think it was the guy who wrote and directed it. I think that's the guy I was talking to.
All right. I guess my choice is going to have to be, and this is going to really harking back to what Larry just said a little bit ago, you know, about some of those 3D movies or the IMAX movies. You know, it feels like you're actually walking to the edge of a cliff, or, you know, when like flying on the back of those animals, they really take you on a ride that you can't help but, you know, all your senses are telling you you're here.
Right. It's the ride. Yeah, I think it's the ride.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when they say story. It's the ride. Yeah.
Well, they have actually taken this formula and put it into a ride. You know, not only in Disney, they've made an Avatar ride, which looks pretty incredible. It's more of like a hanging ride, I think, where they just kind of wave you around in front of a screen, but I haven't experienced that. What I've experienced, because typically when it comes to rides, even at your county fair, Jeremy's out.
Yeah.
Anything that goes loop-de-loop, anything that fucks with my senses, I don't want a part of it. But I found myself years ago, Brooke and I, we went to Universal Studios. And I'm such a Simpsons fan. And they have a whole little section of the park there that's all Simpsons, and they have the Simpson ride. I'm like, this is going to make me sick as hell, but I've got to do it because I love The Simpsons. And essentially what this ride was is you're in a cart that isn't like on a path or anything. It's stationary. It's kind of like, you remember the old Top Gun, or was it Top Gear at Kings Island? It was like a NASCAR experience, but you just sat in a theater and the seat jarred you back and forth. Yeah. So the cart kind of moved in that way. But after you got into the cart, it rose up into a total like dome, kind of like a planetarium dome almost. And, you know, everything was projected around you. You had on the 3D glasses, and then your cart was shaking. And, you know, at any given moment, I could take my glasses off and probably close my eyes and look down if nausea were to take over and, you know, find myself again, you know, bring my senses back down. But like Larry was saying, there's so many times of that ride where, like, I felt like I was flying through the air, you know, dangling from the top of a dilapidating roller coaster. Like, it pulled you in. It was incredible. Made me sick as hell.
Yeah.
Definitely. I didn't do another thing the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Some people are into that, you know. A and B is how easily we can be fooled into getting that emotion, you know, just by a screen and a shaking chair. Because I've been on that kind of ride, and I really felt like I was flying or zoom. Even when you go downhill, I thought, how can they fake that? But they even got me on that, man.
Yeah,
you know, I felt like I was going down, and I was stationary. They were just tilting it in a certain. I don't know. I thought I was,
and that's just it. You know, like the tilt downhill. They put on it is like hardly anything at all. But it's that like little bit of tilt mixed with what you're seeing in your mind telling you you're about to fall off this cliff. You know, like
and they're making millions on that. You know, even on TV, I'm when I watch it, I'm such removed from the commercial. You know, I'm because as a filmmaker, I'm looking at how they put it together and what the tricks are. I'm looking for how they put that together because it's so fine, you know, or how they get that performance. Yeah, and I see it's all a trick and easily done if you know how to do it. It's like a magician. I mean, the trick is really easy, but you don't know that. You think, well, where'd it go?
If I did, we wouldn't have magicians. We certainly wouldn't.
Right. I mean, and that's what that stuff is, you know, and it's all around us, you know.
Right.
More and more. Inured to that kind of. And I mean, it works great in movies and for telling stories. It really, I mean, I remember I used to tell stories in front of, you know, I was in the Boy Scouts or something. I actually got out clean. Nobody bothered me. That's cool. But when I was so lucky.
But, is lucky, I gotta say.
You know, even when I was, But I used to tell stories, and one day there was this. They made these TP fires where, you know, it was as big as a TP, logs as big as a TP, and they set it on fire and stuff. And they told me to go tell a scary story in front of it. And I was like, I don't know, 14 or 15, couldn't be more than that. I was a, you know, Cub Scout or something. And so I was telling this story, and just out of nowhere, just as I was going to say, and the big monster comes out and grabs you, you know, the teepee behind me caved in. And with a big flare, And the kids got so incredibly scared. It just blew my mind, you know. And the timing was impeccable. They were talking about it for, you know, days. But that kind of thing, you know, I was in the forest, man. There was just, you know, tents and this teepee burning behind me. And those kids, I don't remember it for a long time, or probably did. It's the same thing in movies with, you know, Avatar. Yeah. You know, but they can do it, get me in and that is really cool because I'm a storyteller, but also I'm on guard, man. I get phone calls, people trying to sell me stuff, you know, and then they say, click number 1. That's the catch, you know. I listen to them, but then they say, click number 1, and then I hang up. But the stories they come up with are pretty cool. Right. I mean, you know, they're crafty. They know, you know, they know, I guess they know old people are getting hip to the scam because they're the targets. Right. And anybody over 55, man, it's just, you know, they got money in the bank and we want it. But the stories they come up with is just on guard, everybody out there. Even what I'm saying, I could be lying to you right now.
Don't trust them. Don't trust him either.
I love what he's saying about that story at the Boy Scouts. That's so cool how something like that to happen, and you totally see why it works. You know, if you go to like a rock concert, and I don't know, when I go to rock concerts, I must be the most boring person to go to a rock concert with because I'm not drinking, getting stupid, and dancing. I love to watch the show. Mm-hmm. I love to watch the audience, and I love to see what they're doing to make the audience respond, especially with lighting. And let me tell you what, no audience can turn down a white light being turned up on them. No. They all go fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Oh, it's like a tropism now.
Yeah. It might be, but it's just that perfect timing. And man, how cool that would have been to have that happen while you're telling that story, though.
A young Michael Bay in the audience.
Have you ever taken just a regular camera, you know, you buy off the shelf to any kind of party, and you just walk around turning it on, and as soon as you turn it on somebody, somehow they brighten up like they just took something. Yeah. They just go, oh, hi. Oh, hi. Or they wave a beer can at you, or they toast you, or I don't know. That's a tropism. I think it's inbred. I think that I've never seen monkeys do it, so I think we come up with that. That's really cool.
Yet, let's go to the zoo.
Yeah,
let's
really.
test this theory.
Yeah, let's go to Walmart.
Except the ones in the zoo. You turn a camera on them and they throw excrement at you. That's what they do. That's a tropism. Anyway.
I think we got to the bottom of some shit here.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I enjoyed all those stories thoroughly. That was perfect. But I'm even more excited now to turn attention over to Larry and just talk more about your amazing career, man. I was not not just
about me now.
Oh yeah, we're talking about you, and I wasn't trying to just puff you up, saying it was an honor earlier. It truly is. I've seen you on TV for years, and you must not like that kind of stuff. I'll
Spotlight on it now.
I'll quit gloating over you.
He's got to start throwing feces.
So how was it, man? I know before you were acting, you were doing comedy. How'd you get into comedy, and can you tell us a little about your comedy career?
It's a defense mechanism. I mean, Richie Pryor said, when he got busted in jail, he said, man, I just kept those cons laughing, man, because I didn't want to be anybody's girlfriend. That's Richie Pryor, that's so, and it's true, it's some sort of defense mechanism. But I learned it when I was a kid. I remember, there was bullies, and I was a tall, thin kid when I was, but kind of little funny. That I didn't think I was funny, but I guess people. But anyway, I was being pushed around, and then I guess I was the class clown and didn't know it because a bully, was pushing me around. He said I was walking with his girlfriend because we had the same class. This was in high school. Maybe I was a freshman or something, and we had the same class. But there's, the bully came up there. Oh, what are you doing with my girlfriend? No, nothing. We're just talking, man. So he started pushing me around. And then a crowd came around, and I don't know. It was broken up, but I remember thinking she started to stick up for me. No, he wasn't doing anything. Leave him alone. Come on, Vinny, stop it or whatever. And she was, and I'm thinking I'd rather be beaten up by Vincent than have you protect me, please. Just leave me alone. I can't take that kind of, publicity. Maybe, but he could take me, just like that. He was a wrestler, I think. So anyway, cut to 2 days later, I see Vincent coming into the lunchroom, this big, huge lunchroom, and with his arm in a sling. And I'm thinking, wow, man, cool. And I go, what happened to Vinny? And he said, did he get into a fight with you a couple of days ago? I go, no, he wanted to start a fight with me, and he was pushing me around. We had a big crowd around us, and then somehow his girlfriend stopped him. But yeah, I guess. He says, oh, well, a couple of guys said that he had hurt you in some way or was pushing you around. They broke his arm is what they did. And I go, holy cow. Just because I made them laugh? I go, whoa, that's, and I go, holy cow, I got to watch it on both ends. I got to watch out whose girlfriend I walk with, and I got to make sure these guys know about it. But other than that, I suddenly realized I am funny, I guess. I mean, that somebody got hurt because I was maybe talking about it, as in a funny way. So, yeah, I guess that's always it. And then when I graduated college, I just tended to get up on stage and, I just thought I'd been a funny guy, but unconsciously, really, really so. I never paid attention to it until I had to make a living at it because I had to pay rent, So I thought, well, what's the easiest way I could make money at something that I know how to do? And I thought, well, Monday night open mic nights. And so I started doing that in Greenwich Village after I graduated college. I was a stand-up industrial designer. I was an industrial designer. I got a degree in industrial design because my parents wanted me to go to, but I never followed it. I never wanted to do it, but I wanted to please my parents. I was one of those kind of guys, kind of a nerd kind of a guy. I said, well, I don't want to go to college. No, you got to go. You got to go. Why? Because then you have to take care of us, and then you'll make a good living, and then So they had that in mind. A doctor or a lawyer is really what they had in mind. And the closest I could get to an art school even was industrial design, and they heard industrial. And so they said, okay, go there. And I did. But when I graduated, I went to Greenwich Village with my best friend. He's still my best friend, I guess. Carl Gottlieb. He wrote Jaws and stuff. He's a good writer. So he said, let's go to Greenwich Village because he wanted to write, maybe review movies and stuff. So I said, okay. So I was going to go to Detroit and design cars, but I didn't want to do that. So I was cleaning up in bars. From duck boards, behind the bars, these duck boards. I was cleaning that from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. They locked me in. I was the only guy in there. If I see another peanut shell, I'll probably kill somebody. But the chef would come in and let me out, and I was stealing food from the larder, from the storeroom because I was starving, man. But then I quit after 2 weeks because I figured if they started counting up stuff, I was stealing like a side of bacon a week. So I think they would know.
He's taking our bacon.
Yeah, right. But it was great, I would put the slab behind me, and I would wear a raincoat that night so that the raincoat would cover up from the back, and I would just slip out the door. I would wait for him by the door, turn my back to him so he wouldn't see the bump. Yeah, I had it all worked out, but you only could work 2 weeks. And then finally I started doing open mic nights, and I was very bad at first, really bad. It's not telling jokes, like we're hanging out with you guys and telling jokes to you. If I get up on the stage, there's a whole different thing that goes on that's totally different, and I didn't know that. I thought, well, hey, man, I was funny in high school. I could be, and then I have a good learning curve, I think, because I could remember laughs. That was the key. You could remember laughs. I would remember today. I can't do it now, but if I got up on stage for 5 minutes and got 3 laughs, the next night I could remember what set up the 3 laughs.
Okay.
I don't know how I did that even. It was a reflex or something. It happened automatically. I started to notice it. I could recall. So I got like hunks. I started to save them up, these setups and jokes that they laughed at. And but in my head, I never wrote anything down, ever. In my life, did I ever write anything down? Well, yeah. Well, I don't. I would just get up on stage and kind of start talking to the audience. I guess I crossed the line between audience and just friends of mine, like they were my buddies, but they're like an arena. I was opening for Miles Davis and the Lovin' Spoonful, and big. But I don't know how I did that because you have to feel really relaxed on stage, and I'm not that cool at it. But then, so that's how I had to quit because the cops were pulling me off the stage because I was just talking about anything that came into my head, like Lenny and like George Carlin and like, Richie Pryor, and they were like kind of ahead of me, and they had a little more aim than I did because I thought I was in it for the fun and the laughs, not for the glory. I was just hanging on stage. I'll open for you, sure, boom, boom, boom. But then when, people came out, we know you can't talk about breasts and penises. You can't do that. No, get off the stage, and they come out with beer bottles and stuff. No, marijuana. No, man, no. And cops. And I called my manager, who at the time was Woody's manager. I said, hey, man, what's going on? You don't have television material. That's what he told me. You don't have television material, man. They came to see Kingston Trio. These are television people. They don't know about what you're talking about. So he said, why don't you join Second City? Which I did. He said, they do what Richie is doing and George is doing, but they own the theater, so you can talk whatever you want, So that's what I did. I auditioned and I got in, and that kind of was the entree to acting, because then a couple of us divided off, about 2 or 3 or 5 of us headed to San Francisco right as the 60s hit, the 62, 61, 62, Berkeley, Mario Savio, protests, Nixon, the war, and we were in the center of it. We were like Second City in San Francisco. And people from LA were flying up, like crazy to hear these, protesting, satirical, funny people. Yeah, they were great. The director was great. He was a very angry guy, and he could get off through us. Because, he would just aim us. He would bring the newspaper into rehearsal. And he'd say, we're getting this guy this week. He would bring in he would buy the newspaper on the way to rehearsal. And he'd, look at the headlines and he'd go, kind of like, who was that, comedian, who was a stand-up comedian? He used to bring a newspaper, and he got his entire act from the day's newspaper. He was really good. Mort Saul. It was kind of like Mort Saul. He would come in, the director would come in like Mort Saul, and he would read us the newspaper. And he'd say, let's get this guy, or how about talking about this, or how about doing a couple of scenes about that? So no matter what the audience handed to us, we would kind of aim it towards, machoism, or, freedom, or justice, or, something large, and then maybe something local, like the police or local protests or whatever. But they would be flying up from L.A., which was $30 to $35 a round trip. I mean, are you kidding? They would go up, see San Francisco, see a show, fly back. People who we couldn't get to see if we went down to Hollywood. No way. And they would come up to see us. So we were all being hired to go do a day or a week with a sitcom, which is what happened to me. And then I got an agent, Laverne and Shirley, Penny Marshall came up, and she called me down, and she said, hey, I need a tall, thin guy. You're a tall, thin guy up there. Come on down. They were doing a prom dance thing, Laverne and Shirley, going to a prom dance. So, her brother was the owner of it, of the show. So she could cast anybody she wanted. So she got me down there, and that's how I got an agent. He saw me on it. He told me how he got me. He stuck his head. What he would do is he would walk around all the agencies. They kind of used to be piled up together in Hollywood, and around in Beverly Hills. So you could walk or drive around and see about 5 or 10 agents to see what's going on, just interview. So he would go in, and he popped into the Laverne and Shirley when it was a hit. He said, anybody interested, come through here. And the secretaries knew him. So they said, yeah, a tall, thin guy. I don't know, Larry, somebody. Oh, does he have an agent? No. We just talked to him. No, okay, cool. And he called me. They gave me my number. He called me. So you got an agent? No, I don't. Yeah, you want one? Yeah, because if you don't have an agent or manager in Hollywood, you're nobody.
Mm-hmm, right.
Yeah, it's not being a star. It's getting an agent or a manager. I've talked to people who have, you got an agent or manager? Yeah, and they talk different than people who don't. I mean, it's like an ego thing. Or like having a car. It's, you are your car in Hollywood, like that. I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember once, after you shoot a pilot, you're the guest, so they know each other for weeks and weeks and months. They've been acting together. They're the regulars. But you're a one-off. You come in for a week, so they huddle up. I remember they were talking about getting the new cars, and they talking about, So they were talking about the extras that they got with the new cars. So they were saying, yeah, well, where is it? They said, well, we got it in a dashboard. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, the GPS. The cars now come with them. This is a couple of years ago, many, many years ago. So then the cars are coming with GPS. And he said, oh, yeah, well, mine is in the dashboard. It's just set right in there. It's built in on the dashboard. I said, well, where's yours? Well, I have a button. It closes. You can open it so you don't see it. And then mine is near the steering wheel. It's like that. And then they turn to me, and I go, where's yours? And I go, oh, well, I put it on the dashboard. It's got like suction cups, and you go to the mirror, and they wouldn't talk to me the rest of the conversation. I had the GPS thing. It was like we don't know how to talk to you. So then obviously you got a secondhand car. Well, yeah. Oh, well, no, they didn't say that, but that's where it was going. I got out of that conversation and went on to learn my lines. I think it's really, I mean, now look, of course I exaggerate, but it happens, man. More than you think.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, even outside of Hollywood, I mean, that kind of stuff is happening all over the place.
I guess so. I'm into like Homo sapiens. I've kind of shed the dying skin of even human beings. I'm a Homo sapien. We're all Homo sapiens. I look at it like I look at monkeys and zebras and dodo birds, and tigers and elephants. I mean, I don't think we have any kind of natural instincts anymore. The ones they're all no-nos.
Can't do that in public.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Can't keep up the writing and stuff, and the screenplay do's and don'ts, and wow. And who's your target audience? I don't know, man.
Whoever listens, come on.
Whoever will listen to me. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. You set up a little stage, you get a microphone or a megaphone or something like that. You roll up a piece of newspaper and you start talking. You see who comes, you see who leaves, forget them. They never existed, Keep talking until somebody wants to pay you. And then or you get a manager or an agent, one of those things. I don't know.
Right. That's what we wish we did. Yeah. That's incredible, though, man. I Penny Marshall, you say, is who discovered, who brought you in?
Yeah, she got me through by coming up there. She flew up there, just like all the rest. I mean, so I was kind of I couch surfed from that time on for only only about a month, really. I mean, and when I was thrown out of two places in that, so it must have been at least 2 months. I couch surfed. A week. You generally I could eke out 3 days. It was when you could hear it generally was a married couple, but sometimes just, a couple who were living together and they go, oh, yeah, Larry, fine. But you could hear them whispering in the kitchen, why'd you bring that in? And her, and she was, no, I didn't, So I thought, it's time to leave, when she's starting to, bitch at my friend for even getting me to the couch. I'm just not worthy. Until I got a job. I mean, once I got the agent, then he finally started sending me around, and then I started getting jobs. And so I immediately, the first thing you got to do is rent yourself an apartment and then buy a mattress. I mean, I went through the whole thing, and then you just keep on going up, and then you start saying, why am I standing here dressed like this? Oh, I'm making a movie. No, you're not. You're making the rent is what you're doing. What I'm doing. I'm making the rent.
True,
I'm not making a movie. And then you finally, I just couldn't take it anymore. And then by then, I couldn't finesse my challenges, my learning disabilities. But it's really interesting. I have 3, 2 mildly and one not mildly. OCD, ADHD, and dyslexia. Oh, wow. So dyslexia, dyslexia. Yeah, me and Kanye West. We're together. Me and him are buddies. The OCD and the dyslexia, sometimes if I have to write a screenplay, I won't put it down until it's finished. So that's kind of cool. Like I finished a screenplay while I was sequestered for COVID. I was just locked in my house. Great, man. I'll just write my head off. It's great. Right. Mm-hmm. I would only come out to get food or, meet somebody secretively, but maintaining distance, because I have gray hair. So... it's really weird. I just got offered a part in New York, but I just won't. The airports, I can't. I can't do it. Can't shake that COVID. I got that COVID PTSD. It's going around,
I get it.
Yeah.
I get
really is.
It's a scary world out there for sure. Right?
So when this is all over, it's going to be weird to retrain yourself. Everybody just start crawling. That, by the way, that's the way to get rid of PTSD. Nobody will do it. But I didn't know this. I just found this out recently. I've been finding out, when I was born, there wasn't such a thing as PTSD or dyslexia or OCD or ADHD. None of that stuff. That didn't come in until like the 70s, man. Really, where somebody started to say, hey, wait a minute. So I didn't even know that I was sick or weird. I just made, adjustments and stuff like that. But somebody just told me recently that, I was told a long time ago that the way you can't get completely away from any of those three or four. I put PTSD on that line. They're incurable, but you can make adjustments so that you can kind of either ignore them or make workarounds so that it doesn't bother you. You can just make believe, people wouldn't know you had it. And one of them was for a dyslexia, an adult dyslexic, to crawl, because it turns out somebody just told me that on babies, one of the weird things that parents might do that damages kids that they don't know about is they try to get kids to walk too soon. But crawling is very important at the kid's own pace because it makes connections from brain to arm to leg. And walking is too complex for them at a certain age, unless they want to. So crawling is a very important part of growing up and making brain connections and stuff. But one of the things about dyslexic they found out is, though that's not the reason for dyslexia, not stopping kids from crawling, it's one of the cures for dyslexia, that it rewires the brain. Crawling rewires the brain. No adult will do it. It looks foolish. You have to do it, for just like any other exercise. You have to do it every day, and you have to do it for, 10 minutes or whatever, and slowly. So it's really weird. And then they just found out like 2 or 3 days ago, this is how I put it all together. They found out that PTSD is made copable. You can cope with things by having the vets crawl. They found out it rejiggers the brain. And I go, oh, wow, that's connected to the baby thing that I heard a couple of months ago. Wow. That's really weird. I wonder if scientists do that. Yeah, so the brain is very everybody knows that. The brain is really plastic as heck. But I don't know Homo sapiens if they know how to use it. A scientist once told me, he said, our curiosity has way outstripped our intelligence. And I thought that was the coolest thing anybody's ever told me. That's, I think, where we're at.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I mean, what is it called? Dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus, all those people, all those things. They had brains no bigger than a cat's brain. But they were here for 75 million years before the meteor hit. Do you think we're going to make it that long with the big brain that we have?
No.
Come on, man.
It's these brains that'll be our own destruction.
Get serious.
I mean, we can't even manage toilet paper consumption. Come on.
Well, it's like you said last week,
that's
Jeremy.
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Homo sapiens, we think we're not a species.
That's
we don't
exactly
care about Earth, about the planet. No, we're human beings. They're species, like elephants, like tigers, like dodo birds, like tuna fish, like swordfish. Exactly like the species. You know how many species have disappeared before we showed up? I don't get the hubris that I'm going into the things that I've been exploring. This is what I'm exploring now. This is the future. I mean, I'm just talking about it now. But I mean, that's my interest. That's where my interest goes. I watch Nova. I watch the news. I can't get sucked into I watch the news in Nova. And, but not only that, I read here and there. Blah, blah, blah. But I come from a different generation. I mean, there's digital and pre-digital. I come from pre-digital,
Right.
Went to the classics. I grew up on Don Quixote. I mean, that was a story to me, So,
it's funny, we grew up in the, our childhoods were in the non-digital age. Mm-hmm. And, the digital age really hit, I'd say around, at least for me, leaving high school. And to think of life before and after, two completely different.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to even explain, just how connected we are. And how everyone thinks now their opinion matters. That's the biggest.
They all have something to say.
Hey, I'm going to start a podcast.
Everybody has an opinion. Nobody has
Careful,
an
right?
opinion.
Yeah. What a fucked world we live in. I mean, it can be fun though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, until it isn't. I don't think Americans understand because everything's been so cool. really, for 40 years, we've been going down a toilet, and then until this guy gets in. But I mean, he didn't just waltz in, even though he just waltzed in. I mean, we were so deadened to that kind of a personality that, yeah, sure, he would make a good president, even if he thought that for 15 seconds. I mean, it was 40 years of just massaging you into a sleeper. No, you're not a species. You're human beings. You know better. You're intelligent. You're curious. You're cool. You're, digital. Hey, man, instant. Great. And so, yeah, great, man. And so it totally cut off. You know what they found out? They found out, they can take pictures now from the Earth, all those satellites that are going around taking pictures, spying on everything and everybody right. and everything. Well, they found out that there's other uses than spying, just like they found out there's other uses than war to find out how to operate and put a bone back in. You don't have to blow somebody up to do that, So you can just make an incision. It's easier. It's cheaper, too. So now they're focusing on other things that are kind of helpful. Well, smart. So they found out color is a really weird planetary Earth thing that is not seen on any other planet that we can find out. Red, green, blue on the surface. That doesn't exist anywhere in the universe that we know of except here. So they're using it. So then when they just look for that, which that's easy. I mean, they can tune a camera to just pick up red vibes, red, bounce back, whatever that's called. Mm-hmm. Yelling, I think it's called. So they can take these cameras and zoom way down in, like to see what is red that, except that's man-made. That's the word I guess they're looking for. So in the middle of the desert, they go, wow, it's flowers, man. It's an oasis, and maybe somebody planted it. I mean, but they can get down that close to see. Right. Oh, that red patch is flowers. So, but it's only living things that can do that. So here's the point of this all. So they're going around. They got all these cameras and look, green and brown, and they even found penguin poop. They found patches of brown, huge enough for these cameras to pick up, because they huddle together through the winter. Right. They have to move because they only stay in one place until they have to move because where they're standing is brown. So they move to. So there's these round patches about almost about 15 blocks big that move down the coast. Blob, 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 and that's penguins moving. During the winter. So they found out that there's patches where there's no color at all, which is kind of weird because Earth has green all over. I mean, we're a planetary biological planet. What is it? Flora kind of planet, if not fauna. So they found out that the gray patches are disappearing. I mean, the color patches are disappearing. And they look down and they go, oh, it's Levittown. It's New York City. It's New York State. We're graying the Earth. From space, a city looks gray. It doesn't. It only. For some reason, maybe it's the camera or the vibes that come out. But color in a city becomes gray, not the colors of each top of the house or, a parking lot or whatever, blue or green or the cars. No, it's gray, and they're seeing that the color. Like intense color. I'm talking about intense green, intense blue, intense water, flora. I guess it's just water, earth, or greenery. And that's it. Flowers. Red and those different colors, and that's growing. And even the people who were not into what I'm talking about, they were into just the color part of they were into the lenses, really, and the science of it. And I'm thinking, wow, man, we're like really cementing ourselves out of a corner. There will be no corner left. It'll just be all cement. Yeah. There's no place else for it to hide. I mean, now that's exaggerating, but no, I'm serious. With the mercury in the water, and we're just as a species, we're not very smart. I mean, we're not survivable.
And the bitch of it was we think
as
we
human
are.
beings, we're fine and dandy, but as a species now.
No. It's so funny you said that earlier, because I remember growing up, and I don't remember, it had to have been in elementary school or something, but being taught there's human beings, there's plants, and then there's animals. You know, like, even as a child, I was like,
isn't that strange?
What? Wait, why? Well, we've got to be one or the other. And I don't have any leaves on me.
Yeah, I mean, we're just we're too complacent because we don't believe anything bad can happen. We think Norman Rockwell is here, always, everywhere. No. I mean, we just know. How can Russia be? No, they can't be that bad, or no, they can't hack a reporter to pieces in a hotel. No, Saudi Arabia is not that evil. No, man, it's cool. We're okay. It's fine. It'll go away. Everything will disappear, including the species. Oh no, you know. Sorry to go on like this. I'm sorry.
No, I am enjoying every word of it. The only thing I'm having problem with is how to go into stuff you've been asked a million times after such a good conversation like that.
I'm sorry. No. I enjoy either one. What I'm talking about is, you know, there's Larry Hankin, who I went on the show to be. You know, they're going to hang out with Larry Hankin. But there's me. And me is not Larry Hankin. Me is the guy we've been talking to for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know how long, but that's me. That's just me. That has nothing to do with show business. That's if I wasn't in show business at all and you didn't want to talk to me, I'd still be thinking that or writing it or telling my friends that, you know, or in a booby hat somewhere. Talking to, they would be interested in it anyway, I think, and whatever. You just talk about what people are interested in. And to me, which is what's happening now. But when people want to talk about that, that's a person that I have volunteered to be.
Right.
You know, I can drop out anytime. But now, it's what you guys are interviewing, as far as me goes and Larry Hankin. I'm trying to turn the page. I don't want to turn into, I think his name is George Reeves, Superman. You know, that guy who played. Was that George Reeves or somebody else?
It was George Reeves. You're talking the man who he killed himself, right?
He committed suicide. He committed suicide because nobody would hire him because he was Superman. So I'm trying to kind of walk away very gently from Mr. Heckles and old Joe and who was the third guy? Tom Pepper. You know, but I could kill them. You know, I could just refuse to talk about it. But no, that's part of they're. This is the second stage. In other words, when in the 70s, when I was doing like Somebody from Philadelphia or whatever, that girl thing, the big hit, I did that, and then I did, you know, that girl and blah, blah, blah. But I did homeless people. And I was getting to be known as a homeless guy. But that wasn't by chance. Right. I was thinking about when I was 70. I was like, I think 25 or something like that. I don't know. Or 30, I don't remember. But I do remember thinking, I want to be working when I'm 70. And so I'm going to start developing a character that I was going to be when I was 70. Because I saw this. In 1970, I saw this, however old I was. I saw this. I was in a stage play, and I was watching television, and I saw a famous actress from black and white movies as a mom in a sitcom on TV. I think it was almost a black and white sitcom, whatever. But even Lucille Ball, who was, the mom. Didn't she have kids? Or, you know, Lucy, Desi, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. Did she have any kids? No, but in other words, she was a TV mom, even. She was a big star. You know. Okay, so I thought, oh, wow, when big movie stars, females, become 35 and older, that's the glass ceiling. They can't make movies anymore. They become TV moms. Mm-hmm. And I would see it all through the 70s and 80s. Bam, bam. So I started watching guys in the 75s. That's, 1975. And the same thing was happening then when 55. Boom, dads on TV. I go, no, I'll kill myself before I do that. No, Yeah, because here's the bottom line is I never wanted to be an actor. I was always looking to pay the rent and hang out with the guys, the funny guys.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. And if they were going on a stage, I want to go on a stage. I just wanted to be with the funny guys. That's all, because they were intelligent to me. They were talking about real stuff that was on the street. I mean, Lenny Bruce was just talking about street stuff. He wasn't cursing on stage. He was talking about what everybody was saying, you know, outside of the nightclub.
Right.
You know, in those days, you couldn't curse in a nightclub. Now the only place you can, well, even on TV, frontal nudity and stuff like that. But anyway, so that was the thing that I just wanted to do. Just be with the funny guys. I didn't want to be an actor, so I was doing the sitcoms like Laverne and Shirley. Even I have here's where I'm coming from. My sister, who lives in Florida, she sent me some old drawings that she found in a trunk. You know, do you want this, Larry? And it was a drawing, and it was had my name on it. I drew it. I mean, I recognized it, but it was dated 1976. And in 1976, so I know exactly now that I recall because I remember that painting, that drawing, 8 by 10, of an old guy named Emmett Demas. It was an old guy, me. It was a caricature of me. I'm a good drawer. I mean, I did go to art school. So it was an old guy, and it was Don Quixote on a motorcycle. That's what I drew. Me as Don Quixote, but with a bicycle helmet, with a hanger with you know, ribbons on the top of it, like a knight would have, you know. But it's a coat hanger that he tied to a bicycle helmet, and then he had a jacket on with just anything pinned on it, just any kind of metal that he could find, or any kind of pin, just sort of looked, a rainbow or a first class or whatever, you know, like a biker. And he rode a motorcycle with a sidecar. On this particular painting, drawing, he was on a motorcycle. But that was in 1976, and I was 30 or something. But I was thinking about the future because of these TV fathers. So when I did all these God things and old homeless people, I had nothing to do with acting. What I was doing, really very consciously, was trying to get the job to see what I look like as an old man on TV so I could write for myself now for when I was 70. And now, you know, that I'm older than 65, now I have the screenplay, which I wrote 5 years ago, about that guy that I drew in 1976. But it was all blind. But it was all kind of blind. It was like, I know where fate comes from now. Because it was semi-conscious. I didn't really think I would be that guy. I was just thinking of something to do that afternoon about what if I didn't want to be a TV dad. I'll draw it. But I didn't think because I will look back on this and it will be an omen that I knew. No, I don't know anything. So, but that's where the theory of fate comes in. And maybe it is fate. Maybe I did know something. I knew it was something that I dreamed about, being my own person, not working for somebody who wrote a part that came out of his head, but that came out of my head. Allen Ginsberg said, you know, totally the first rule of writer, get it out of your head, on the page, raw as you saw it. You can do with it what you want after that. You don't have to show it to anybody, but get it out raw as it comes. That's the most important thing I ever read about writing. Looking at, you know, and then the other thing is a little piece of you in every character, you know, just for the truth of it, just for the truth, just so you know something nobody else knows, you know, and you give it to that character, you know, give it to him.
That's incredible.
You know, so, you know, I love
hearing the process.
Yeah, process is where I'm at. That's the whole thing. Process. Not winning the medal, but how do you get there, you know, even to compete, you know. Sure. Have you seen this documentary called The Weight of the Gold? It's on Netflix or PBS, or it's on the internet or television. I think it's on television.
Check that out.
What's it about?
Well, check it out. It's called The Weight of the Gold. What it is they followed the winners of gold in the Olympics. So they got all, they had, that guy who got the 6 medals for swimming and shit. But you got 2 and 3 medal winners, and they followed them after they quit Olympics. And they said all of them nearly killed themselves, and many did. Because it's like postpartums. Yeah, it's like postpartums with women. Now I understand why women get postpartums. It's such a buildup to the birth. It's such a buildup to the gold that once you are over with and you're still alive, you have no idea what to do with your life. I mean, you're practicing every day, thinking about it, feeding it, going to doctors for broken ankles, for medicine, for mammograms, for this and that, and then nothing. And then everybody's paying attention to your fame or your baby, and you're out of it, man. You're not needed anymore. The doctors are taking care, blah. So, yeah, I mean, well, it's a documentary about all the medal winners, what they went through for the 5 years after they won. And it's just terrific because you see what, quote, unquote, fame really does to you. It's not the money that makes you greedier and greedier and stupider, but it's the aftermath when the parade passes and you're left with yourself, and you've never been with yourself. Right. This person who got the gold, how do you prove that to yourself? No, you're worthy. You're a worthy person that you just did that. Well, can I do anything near that? No, you're too tired. You're too beat. You're too wasted. You gave all.
Yeah, you gave your entire self to your previous goal.
Right. Because of the competition, not the actual doing of the job to get the gold. The last race, the last vault jump. No, it's the competition to get in the spot where this is I either do it or I don't get it. It's the competition you got through the aim, the focus. The focus, man. And that's the key to everything, man, is focus. And that's what OCD, ADHD, and dyslexia fucks with.
Sure.
My focus. And that is something that, when I do get it, or when I can cope, or I have various ways of looking at something, where I get the focus back. I mean, what musicians call the groove.
Right.
It's the groove. And if I can hit that, without drugs, without anything, which is what, those athletes may or may not. I don't know how that goes. You hope for the best, that they're doing it with the best of intentions and they're not too drugged up doing that stuff. But and somebody's passed enough tests that they're clean. That's the best you want to be. You just want to be better. See, that's the best is the enemy of the better, I think. There's an old saying, the good, the best, the perfect is the enemy of the good. You ever hear that expression? Well, all athletes know that. You got to fail before you win. Athletes, you don't want to. If you can't fail, you can't win. And then the other one is the good is the enemy of the perfect is the enemy of the good. Just like the best. If you want to be the best, just try to be better than you are right now. Yeah. And you'll get there. But if you want to be the best, what the fuck does that mean?
What are you comparing it against?
First or last?
Yeah, I mean, to what? Best according to what? Him? So you think he's the best, the guy with the gold medal? You want to be better than him? No, be better than you.
Right. Yeah.
When you get there, be better than you. But that's it takes dedication, and it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy.
I can't imagine.
But but nothing is. I'm not talking about entertainment or sports. I mean, they're just examples, easy examples of what I'm talking about.
Sure.
But no, it's just that you want to be a ditch digger. You just want to do it better. That's all. I've dug ditches and figured out. I mean, not all the time. Maybe I did it once. But in digging the ditch to make it a ditch as opposed to a shovelful, I figured out how to shovel a little better, until I got the ditch done. I just didn't do it stupidly and, throw sand back into the other end of the ditch.
By the time you were
done.
Yeah,
you just want to do it good. You just want to, maybe it gets you through faster. I don't know. but there's a completion, there's an honor, there's a gratification, there's a self. It's a self. It's a, people boo you off stage. I'm just thinking, no, I'm not bad. I'm thinking, where are you at? Oh, I get it. You're not my audience. I'm looking for a laugh, not a bottle, a beer bottle and an upside down beer bottle and a fist. That's what came at me. No, I'm not
really
looking
good
for
advice. Really good advice to take to the bank. Because, how many people have got up in front of an audience the first time, it wasn't the right audience, and was immediately put off?
Yeah, so you got to find your audience.
Yeah.
That's the other, you got to find your audience. That's the challenge. That's your job, not to be talented. There's no job. You can't be talented. You got what you got. You're born with it. You got it. You can get more of other stuff that'll help it, but you got it. But deal with what you got, man, because nobody else got it.
Yeah.
What you got, nobody else got. I mean, is there anybody else that even looks like you or talks? And I don't and then when I do get to the point where I can't think anymore, it's just I go, but how do you explain that to somebody? How do you get? There's good stuff going on. I do see it. Nova is really kind of cool at that. They'll tell you what's wrong in the beginning, and you go, oh my God, and they get you really depressed. But then they show people working on it. They show, but here's the solutions. We're not there yet, but at least somebody are working on it. And that's what gets me to, oh, cool. All right, I'll tune in next week. They show me the problem. Yeah, they show me the problem, and I go out, But like we're wearing masks. I live in a beach community, So the umbrage of people who say, I've got a right to not wear a mask. Or somebody who said, I know I can't prove wearing a mask works, but you can't prove that not wearing a mask doesn't work. Proving a negative is very hard. But so they don't want it because they say, I'm not going to wear a mask because it's my right not to wear a mask. It has nothing to do with your right. It's not even an obligation. It's a human thing. It's a species thing. Yeah. Don't you care about somebody else? But no, they don't. The answer is no, they don't. That's not a query that begs an answer. That is, no, they don't, and they know it, and you know. Yeah. And so that's where we are right now, not where a few people are. 1/3 of the United States knows it and doesn't care. Thank God there's the word yet. That's the only hope. That's the only hope.
Either that or want to weed out the stupid really quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody's saying. Yeah, they're going to get. Darwin. Hopefully. Yeah, but then the wrong die young. You got the stupid left.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to die out. They can't survive because they don't know what to do to keep them alive. They proved that by letting the people who did know. Well, I guess they didn't know how to stay alive. I guess to stay alive is to eat the people. Here's the thing that two people among 10 will starve to death or can starve to death. 3 people among 7 will eat the other, 4 to survive. That's an old Arabian or Muslim or Eastern, Eastern, I don't know. It's an Eastern saying. I think it's 10 and they said 25 and 5. They said 1 in 25 will starve. 2 in 25 will starve. 3 in 25 will starve. 5 among these hungry. I left out the word. So 1 hungry man among 25 will starve. 5 hungry men among 25 will kill the rest and eat for food. That's an old saying, but, when you just, when you're sleeping and you just got sand and everything, I guess you get angry. You don't want to do that to people.
I know I'll be eating.
What?
No, but there's a truth in it, even though they took it to its stupidest conclusion. See, that's the thing about logic. You can take logic to a stupid conclusion. That's what's called humor. It's called satire. If I keep doing what you tell me, Mr. President, you're going to get stupid and I'm going to get stupider. We're going to kill everybody off. In other words, I get your logic, but your logic is a lie in this situation. So you can say, yeah, well, I was talking about the other thing. Oh, well, then you were telling the truth. But to say that, what's that, that medicine thing, that for COVID?
Oh.
He was telling us, take that, the Q, whatever. So what's a medicine? Yeah, that lady who kills chickens for religion. I mean, she's even touting it. And she's saying, that. So he's telling us, yes, this is a good medicine, but not for this disease. It cures whatever that other thing was. That's what it's good for. But just because it's a medicine, so you're not lying if you're talking about that disease. But to say that this good medicine and then couple it with COVID, no, that's lying. But if you're coming back at me with your argument, that's why the Democrats shouldn't argue with that guy. Because he takes things and twists it he believes you're as evil as he is.
Right.
He thinks he's arguing with an equal, Wow. So, I won't even speak his name,
Yeah. And thank you for
that. But anyway, if you wanted to talk about, anything in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, I'd be happy to. I'm curious because it also gets out a lot of things for me that bothered me about that.
Yeah. I mean, the questions I had, again, were things that you've been touched on, you've touched on so many times, and I don't even think at this point I want to. People know why you're here.
But it's the same question. Okay, here's the thing about Fellini. Fellini said this, I once met, and Carl is always, who's my friend, Carl is always hangs out with, or did at one time, Spielberg, the director. Mm-hmm. So he used to tell me these Spielberg stories. So here's a Spielberg story he told me about Fellini. About the press and stuff like that, and asking questions that I've been asked. Fellini wanted to actually, he was in Italy, and Fellini actually wanted to meet Spielberg. So that, and of course, Spielberg wanted to meet Fellini. But Spielberg was just as nervous as you or I would be meeting Fellini or Spielberg. He didn't know what to say to him. He'd seen all this movies and blah, blah, blah. So he thought, well, I'll just ask him a question about his movie. Why did you do this? That's like a starter. Right. So he thought, Fellini, they shook hands, and he said, can I ask you a question? Fellini said, yeah, sure. He said, okay, when I read all your interviews, I've noticed that they're not the same answers, that you're giving different answers. So is that them not quoting you right, or are you lying to them, the interviewer? And Fellini said, when you get asked the same questions over and over and over again, it makes for a boring interview because the interviewer knows the answers already to these questions. He feels obligated to ask them because the other newspaper asked them. So he's asking you the same question. So when it comes out, the interview is boring. You're boring, he's boring doing it, and he's bored writing it. So what I do is I change it up. I never tell the same story because then they get interested. They think they got a scoop. Each time I tell somebody else a different story. So I always get an interesting interview. Boom.
It's the truth.
So that's the thing about, So I could be lying to you enough. But the stories that I tell you about me are interesting enough for me because I'm writing a book about it that it's good for me to tell these stories over and over because I really get the story straight. Not the funny story, the real story, which is much funnier. So it is always.
I just appreciate you coming on here and being real with us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how to do anything else. That's the downside. I can't be anything else.
This is just like such a refreshing. Well, no, this is just like such a refreshing conversation and just talk here that it's I don't even want to go there now.
Right,
it's like,
right.
I just want to keep it going the way it is. Again, if people are listening, fine, people know why they're here, why they're listening to Larry Hankin. Okay. Here's a question for you. You're right. In all your other interviews, you typically always respond differently. So every time I've listened to one of your interviews in preparation for this. Each one, I took something new away. Something, again, new in every one. But
right.
I heard you in one of your interviews say that you were thinking about doing a podcast called The History of Larry Hankin. Is this, or something to that effect, is this something that is going to happen or is taking any kind of form?
Actually, yeah. And That's a good the history. I'm writing it down now. History of LH. The history of Larry Hankin. That's a really good book. Yes. I remember talking to you about it, or talking to someone about it. What I did was I started doing podcasts for El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie.
Right.
So they wanted me to do podcasts for that. I never had done podcasts before. But it coincided with this fame that I started to get. In other words, I died out in the 2005, and I started getting, because of the replays, and digital came in. I started to replay a lot of stuff. So I started getting repopular just on my past history. I was still making movies, but now there was replay. So around 2015, I became very popular, and also I started to, I wanted to get out, and thinking of wait until I get old enough to do Emmett Demas really correctly. I did El Camino, and they wanted me to do podcasts. I didn't know what to talk about. So, of course, everybody talked about my old past. That was fresh. I was on the upswing. So I did a lot of podcasts for El Camino. But what they really wanted to talk about, because they hadn't seen it, but they really wanted to talk about was Breaking Bad and all my past stuff. Right. So I started to learn about me because I never listened to that stuff. I mean, I watched it when it came out, but that was just like doing it. And then in a couple of weeks, I would watch it. I didn't bank it or anything. So I was just very current all the time, very current. But when I got to El Camino, I started to have to look back on the 70s, 80s, and 90s because of the questions. I started to look back, and I started to put together. It was like, I'm telling you, it was like therapy. It was like talking to, that's what you do. You talk to somebody, and what he's doing is he's listening. It isn't what I think therapy is. I've gone once for a little while. But I think you get to hear you. You get to bounce something off. He tells you, well, what about that thing about your father? What about your blah, blah? He once said, he once said, I was just going on and on. I noticed he was laughing. He's in a psychiatrist's office. I noticed he was laughing. I'm going about my father and stuff. He was a very bad guy. And so he's laughing. I said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm laughing. He goes, what do you mean you're laughing? I'm pouring out my heart here about my dad, and you're laughing? And he goes, why? What about it is you're laughing? And he goes, Larry, you don't think what you're telling me about what your father is saying to you and obviously has been doing to you, I mean, this passive-aggressive shit, that you don't think that's funny? I go, no, I don't. And he goes, well, you're going to have to keep coming here until you do. And I thought, there's another guy told me a great thing.
Yeah.
Cool. So, it has to be funny, but real. But funny, look at it. Change your point of view, man. Don't be, PTSD. You think, the enemy is right behind you. He isn't. You're an ice cream parlor. Don't worry about it. So it's that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of coping mechanisms that if you have dyslexia, that's what you have to do. I have to think it through before, like, for instance, if we decided to do something, whatever it is, but we discussed it here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's a great idea. Okay, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, cool. And I'm going along with it. I'm going, yeah, that's so great, man. When I wake up tomorrow around this time, generally, but if I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to have a whole different point of view.
Okay.
I mean, I may or may not agree with the things that I said, yeah, to, that's great. Because for some reason, my mind, while I sleep, picks out the flaws and the loopholes of the logic we just went through, just throwing shit around, pop, 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 pop. Just, not, and that's really, you got to do that. Don't be negative. Let's just throw around good ideas. Don't downplay anything. That's great. Write it down. Boom, boom, boom. Tomorrow, that's what this. Put your screenplay in a drawer, your book in a drawer for a while. So I have been putting it in a drawer. But all those stories I told to the podcasters, I've been calling somebody and saying, can you record me once a week for the stories that I told to podcasters? And the guy says, yeah. So we've been doing it for almost 3 months now. I've been calling this guy who was a podcaster. Now I call him once a week. We have these sessions where I just tell him these stories as I remember. He even asked me, he said, okay, he'll look something up. He'll say, what about this thing about something with Philadelphia? Do you know have any stories about that? No, I really don't. I don't remember too much. I remember doing it. I remember I played God. I remember I was an old guy. I remember what I had doing. But see, that flow came up because he asked me the question. If you had asked me, what's something that you're really interested in the 70s, I would never have come up with that Philadelphia thing. It's because he asked me a specific question, and I remembered it. So then when I called the guy on Saturday, he said, all right, we're going to talk about Philadelphia. And I told him the story. So I was getting in touch. But then when we got a lot of stories together, and he started sending me them back, and I started to listen to them, these stories that I tell him each week, I started to see, this is my arc. In other words, if you really write something, poetry, prose, whatever, Lear's limericks, if you write enough of them over a course of time, you will reveal yourself to yourself. Because you keep on writing enough, you will start to see the subconscious pattern of what your mind is interested in all the time, even though you're not thinking about it. And that's how a lot of movies get written. The guy who directed, Adam Sandler, who his comedy I hate, but his acting I love. And one of the first movies he made was directed by a really great director. As a serious actor, Adam was a serious actor, the director. Well, anyway, he said that's how he wrote that movie for Adam Sandler. He had something in mind that he wanted to write a movie about, looking for his next movie, and he wrote it. He just wrote it down. He said, I want to write about. I don't know if this is true, but let's just say this. I want to write about who's really too shy, maybe toxically shy. In other words, it's not holding them back and making them feel safe. It's starting to destroy them. It's becoming a bad thing, the shyness. Okay. So then he would just write down, he'd get a yellow pad, yellow legal pads, and he would just write everything that came to mind off of the one word shy or maybe toxic, but let's say shy. Shy. Or maybe toxic shy or bad shy. There's any words that come to mind, dead cow, whatever, trumpet, whatever. You just start talking about being shy, hiding, not being able to talk, and not saying what you want to say, and you start getting into it. And then your mind starts to loosen up. But you don't be negative. Well, I can't think of anything. Just write anything down. Get the rhythm going. Just the writing. Never mind what you're thinking. The last thing you want to think about is your thinking. That's the last thing, man.
Oh, yeah.
Think about your breath. And you think about, okay. And then he does that for about 2 or 3 days. Just for fun. There's no timetable. Let's do it for an hour. Or they smoke a doobie, whatever. And then you gather all the stuff, These are 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. And you start to skim it, scan it, read it. You just start to take it in. This is like somebody else's. This is not you. This is like somebody else. And what happens is you start to see, because your mind identifies with the sameness of the pattern, it starts to identify a pattern.
Right.
Now, the mind is going to make a pattern. Everybody's not going to see the same pattern with the same list. But your particular mind is going to pick out its particular pattern. And then he starts picking out those things which fits that pattern. This is this director talking. And he's a very good director, solid. And that's what he's going to write about. And then, he'll either pick a scene about this, or he'll pick, these go together, or this is a great cut from that kind of talk to this kind of topic, go from, a dead cow to a dead man, do that kind of thing. Okay, to introduce a character with a trumpet, So, just do that. And then he wrote this movie, and Adam Sandler started it, and he just killed, He aced it. It's cool, But he's still, touring Adam Sandler, still touring the country, doing his arena shows like he was a 15 or 16-year-old kid, that voice he does and the blah, blah. Yeah, and you feel sad. Come on, man. But, when he does, like, Uncut Gems, man, I can't do that good. I hope I could.
I haven't seen that yet. Was it amazing?
Well, I like the story. I'm writing a screenplay. I'm interested in writing. So I pick apart the story. So I'm listening to it because of the story. I'm not listening to the story of, the combination of acting and photography and cinematography. I'm looking at it particularly to see how that character goes in. Adam did a great job with the character he was given. And I totally understand why he wanted to do that. I was just given a role that I had to turn down because I can't fly. I got gray hair. The airports just freaked me out. But I told the author, the writer of this film show. I mean, yeah, I told him it's a great. I know what I'm turning down. There's a a solid piece of writing. Thanks for showing it to me. Really cool. But I got to turn it down. So you make a choice. And stuff like that. So anyway, that's I don't know what the hell I was talking about.
we got there from talking about all the podcasters who are recording all your stories, and man, I hope this gets released, because I would love again, listening to the episodes, researching you, I heard some awesome stories I didn't hear in any other one. One about you having your face burnt off as a child. I didn't hear that one anywhere else other than one show.
Wait a minute. That I remember who that was. Wasn't that a girl interviewer, a woman interviewer?
There might have been a guy and a girl.
Yeah, I remember there's two interviews that were totally different than any other interviews, because I got into my life. And one of the interviews I asked about, are you, because I had been talking about my show business stuff, who I knew and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And he said, I asked them, I said, don't you want to know about any of my life at all between, if I had a girlfriend, in between these shows? I had a life in between those shows that I had to keep up, that I lived. I did laundry. I had to go to movies. I had to, show up on time, pick her up, blah, blah, blah. So they got into that. So that was a good one. In other words, I did that voluntarily. I actually thought, we're on the radio. Why can't I talk about my life? Let's see if I can do that on a Saturday. I was looking for, again, I'm always into process. I'm always looking for material. So but the other one where I had that was where I almost died. Is that the one you're talking about? Well,
it sure sounded like it to me. It sounded like you were playing with kerosene in front of a furnace or something.
Jeez.
Oh, that one. Right. No, there's another later on in my life when I really, the dyslexia, I take things the wrong way and say the wrong things at the wrong time to the wrong person, with the wrong weapons on them. Gotta watch that. Watch for the bulge and stuff. So anyway, so the fire and that. Yeah, we were just playing again, and I'm so lucky. I gotta, I hate to say that, but anyway, that one, that was the one where I just said, will you ask me something about my personal life? Yeah. So they asked me something about my childhood, and then I told them that one. There was another one where I told them about when I was older, when I was about 30. I was living in a village after college. No, so I must have been about 22. Yeah, 22. Even 21. No, even 20. I graduated when I was between 18 and 19. So 20. Yeah, I had a roommate. I graduated with my best friend in college, so we just said, let's get a place together. So we did, and then he was drafted into the Army, so I needed to get a roommate fast. I couldn't pay the rent. So it was maybe $150 a month, and I couldn't pay it with the rent. I was starving. So I got an old buddy from Syracuse. I graduated Syracuse, graduated from Syracuse, my roommate. So I got my old buddy, and he was a Marine. I thought, well, that's cool. Have a Marine. He's my roommate. That's cool. But I didn't know that he had PTSD.
Oh man.
And so I told her, I was talking to this woman. This is the second time I had bad episodes off, nothing to do with show business. And I mentioned it to her, and then I mentioned as far as I mentioned it to you. And so it didn't turn out too good. I mean, I'm here talking to you. So she said, well, what is it? I really, it's a long story. I really not go into it. And we were on the air. And I always feel obligated when you're on the air to, be entertaining. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know what's entertaining, but generally if I can get a laugh, I know I'm entertaining. That's my way of knowing I'm there. But acting seriously with the silences just kill me.
Yeah.
That's death to a comedian. But silence is great for, it's attention.
Right.
So I was, now let me see, where was it? So I was telling her, and I stopped, and she said, no, go ahead. And then she said, oh, okay, I don't know, something happened that just turned a switch on in me. Something that she said or something, and I just felt, no, do this, Larry. You got to get it out of your system. It's a bad thing. I mean, not a bad thing in the scheme of life. It's just a bad thing to carry around and not tell anybody about. It's just weird, it's just one of those weird things. You say the wrong thing, and you get somebody mad, and all of a sudden, you're looking at death. Boom, who, how, wow. That's totally uncalled for. So, it is a long story, but so I told her that because in the back of my mind, I thought, if I can tell her this, if I can force this out and make some sort of sense out of it, some story, get a story of it, then I can tell it to the guy on Saturday, and that would be great for the book. And that's what I was thinking of. In other words, I'm always thinking of the next thing. I'm not where I am, which I think is a good part because, well, maybe that's why it's a hard time for me to focus, is because my mind is always on the next thing. I'm always too far ahead.
Yeah. It's always good to think like that, though. I mean, there's been many times on the show. Like we had a celebrity interview, which I'm not going to say, some time ago, that in the middle of the call went really south. This guy was treating us just like garbage, and as quickly as I wanted to reach over and hang up, I thought, hold on. You've always been wanting the opportunity to practice, recovering from some of the toughest situations. I can't imagine a situation getting much tougher than this. So. Right. Man, I forced a smile across my face and pushed through it and ended up, I think becoming a little bit wiser from that.
Landed on your feet. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We never aired it. He can kiss my ass for all I care. But
yeah, right. Exactly. No, and I mean, I had a good protection because of my mental disabilities, my mental challenges. In that, when I was on the stage at the open mic night, one was the audience is an open. That's why I talk about them a lot. They're a godsend to me, anyway, because they're very polite. You get 5 minutes. Now I think it's down to 2. But back in them days, I would just go make the rounds. And back in them days, it's always you had I think 3 minutes to 5 minutes. So I'd get up. And they knew that you only had 3 to 5 minutes, so they would sit and wait for you to get off. Even if you were terrible, they could sit and wait. They didn't have to boo. Right. Why bring negative things there? So they would just sit there, and I would be up there. So it's me up there, and they're just sitting there looking at me, waiting for the next guy to go on. But I just had to get through what I had to get through. I had to finish this story or whatever, get to the punchline. And then I got off, and the next person come on, and boom, they start all over again. Ladies and gentlemen, blah, blah, blah. And that was really kind of them because they let me finish my thought or at least get my point out that I was trying to do to see that, and then I would get off and I wouldn't think, gee, that was really bad. I would think, okay, I can do it better next time. And that was my whole mantra of getting off the stage. Yeah, I know I was bad, but I can do it better next time. Maybe I should talk faster. In other words, I tried everything until finally I get one that worked, but I never not wanted to get back up on the stage. That never entered my mind. I just, I'll do it better next week, or next show, blah, blah, blah.
You learn more from your failures than your successes, right?
Well, I guess that is true. The one thing you do get from your successes, because I try to study both, is that you get a little more confidence, just a little, you can do it a little better the next time because it gives you a little energy. Well, I did that successfully. That means I can do it. My mantra is, I got a lot of mantras, but one of it, if I can do it once, I can do it again. Even if I do it on a doobie, I can do it without doing it on a doobie. I mean, that's it. I may not do it perfectly the same time. It's a lot harder, but man, it's worth it. No, I mean, I'm serious. I just don't trust just like I've tried to do, because I was in the committee, the San Francisco committee, the Second City thing. I was in it for a good 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 years. I mean, I was in it from the beginning to the end. I would take little vacations, a month here, or a month there. But yeah, so I tried it on everything. Tried it on LSD. No, never on LSD. No, that was too dangerous. No, I tried it on marijuana. I just tried it on marijuana. And I just lost like slaves. Oh, the audience didn't know it because they know we're improvising. But no, I didn't get the fun out of it. I was fighting for, keeping focused and stuff like that. And it didn't make me looser. It made me more nervous that I would lose my place or something like that. But of course, I'm not normal to begin with. I've got this challenge, this learning challenge.
Sure.
So I'm always asking questions. So yeah, I'm always, well, the upside is you have a lot of choices. I can choose this one or that one, and meanings. You can tell me one thing, and I will listen 3 different ways. That's why the internet is the bane of dyslexics. So many choices, and then I make more choices from the choices. So I misinterpret. I'll click on buttons that I shouldn't be clicking on because, well, the logic of it seems to be click on this one. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I don't do it a lot, but I do it enough to get myself PO'd, God damn it.
And it's easy to get so mad because, like you said, you follow your logic, and there's so many people out there who make clickbait, who take advantage of logic and your instinct and put their clickbait crap up there, and you just get to the point where, like, I'm not messing with this. I'm fucking done.
Next thing you know, you're in the dark web.
No, speak for yourself. I haven't found myself there yet.
Yeah, I mean, even the seemingly, legitimate businesses have imitations that they try to fool you. I've had a lot of people call me about Apple, Target, Amazon. Fake. They're faking. But click 1 now. Click 2 if you don't want to click any but clickers. Click this. Yeah, I'm going to click that one. I don't want this bullshit anymore.
Exactly.
click this if you don't want bullshit anymore. Click.
Oh my God! I really.
Hey, listen, I gotta get out of here. I can't hang out anymore. I got a meeting.
Fair enough.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, we have to get going ourselves anyway. But I just wanted to, thank you again for being here, and remind our listeners really quick to go to the reallarryhankin.com, check out paintings, shorts, everything Larry's got going on. Larry, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. T-shirts even. T-shirts. Yeah.
With your paintings on them.
Yeah, my paintings on T-shirts.
Which are fantastic.
Yeah, but thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, and there was our interview. I don't even want to say interview. That was our conversation with Larry Hankin. And, I can't say enough. There's been so many times we've done interviews like this with people. And, we prepare the interview and everything goes right the way the interview should. And I'm not complaining about that, but I get what I'm expecting,
Yeah.
This was one of those interviews that just immediately, everything I've written down here isn't going to get used. And that, again, that's not a bad thing. I prefer that because you don't know what's going to come out. And man, that conversation was awesome. I would have never expected that, and I'm so glad we have it.
Yeah.
Big thanks again to Larry, and once again to everyone out there. Go to the reallarryhankin.com. Again, paintings. This guy can paint now. Yeah, like so many different, celebrities who have websites. Oh, I got my paintings up there, and sometimes you go to them, they're just dog shit. This isn't the case. These are really, really freaking good. Some funny shorts on there. Jack and I have been watching some. Good. All kinds of funny stuff. So again, check that out, thereallarryhankin.com. And after you do that, Jack, where are they going to go?
Go to cannedairpodcast.com, where you can see show highlights, guest info, listen to the show, follow us on all our social media, become a patron, buy some merch, see some YouTube videos, and if you'd like to be a guest and promote your work, send us an email on our contacts page.
And if you like what we're doing, you want to show your support, help us keep the lights on, help us buy some merch, to get back in your guys' hands, patreon.com/CannedAirPod. $5 a month gets you access to the Canned Air Patreon pod. And we've got some new things here in studio. We've got some Canned Air pins. We're going to get some pictures of these before you guys go.
Yes.
and get them on social media. And we have to make it, we have to give away to get these to our fans. The patrons are just going to get one.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fans, anyone else want to get them, maybe if you cross paths with us in public, you know, lucky enough for that to happen.
Say, hey, you got one of them pins?
I'd be like, well, as a matter of fact, I do.
Just
You
reach into
lucky
my pocket
son
here.
of a bitch. Yeah, exactly. But we're going to figure out how to get these pins in your guys' pockets, or rather on your shirt than in the pocket. It does more of a marketing effect if it's pinned to the shirt than in the pocket. So anyway, I'll quit trying to be funny. Anything else, Randy?
Just seriously, thank you, Larry, for spending time with us tonight. It was a blast. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Very good, very good. Well, until next time, I am Jeremy Colley.
I'm Jack Doherty.
And I'm Randy Hardenbrook.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and be excellent to each other.
Oh, a dog. Hi, puppy. Nice puppy. Oh,
Don't run, it'll only make things worse.
no. Mutt.
Remember, you never want to approach a stray dog, especially one that's foaming at the mouth. Get away from the animal as quickly as you can and tell a grown-up. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Hankin.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Randy with the Canned Air Podcast. How are you tonight, sir?
Oh, cool. I'm fine. It says on my screen here, it says telemarketer. I don't know what you're selling.
Because we're calling you through Skype, that's why.
This is this is a nice way you guys got around that. Okay, what do you really say?
This has been a Canned Air production.